and the cashier was kind of angry. We don't see those online orders here in the store. Like,
welcome to My Data is Better Than Yours, the data podcast. Thanks for joining. On the other side is Tatu. So welcome, Tatu. Could
Hi.
you introduce yourself and more or less the company you're working at, right? That makes sense. We could dive deeply into the topic.
Yeah, thank you. Maybe I love stories, so if you don't mind, I can tell a short story how it all started. So my co-founder Juha, he used to work for a record store company. So they sell LPs like vinyl, CDs, etc. And this happened about 7-8 years ago. And he was kind of computer guy, kind of developing a web store for them. And then, but they also had physical stores. And then they had a kind of quite good system of collecting customer data also in the physical stores and naturally also from the web store. Quite early phase in the business already. And then many of the record store people started to ask this my co-founder Juha that, hey, could you make me a kind of segment of customers who love this artist? Could you, and another kind of next hour, could you make a kind of a segment of these customers? And he had to always like do it with the SQL with the database, and he kind of started thinking there must be a better way. I'm kind of pissed off kind of giving all these segments like every day, and then he started thinking and planning the system for it so that those salespeople could do it themselves. And that's how our story started. So he coded the first version of Custobar, the company which we founded then together. And when he showed me the first version, the beta version of it, and this happened like 7 years ago, it was so kind of intuitive. I didn't know anything about retail at that time, but it was so intuitive that I can kind of sell that to anyone. That seems so kind of easy. And then we started the business together. And actually, the kind of good ending for this story is this record store is still alive. Almost all the other record stores in the Nordics have died, but this is still booming. Actually, they've been growing every year because of the utilizing data so well. They are targeting narrow segments, and they already that time and still they get amazing conversions from those campaigns that they send without this Custobar tool, which they still do, because they do it so narrowly targeting. They utilize data quite early phase already very wisely.
Nice.
So this is the start of how our company started, and we are on that track still, kind of serving companies utilizing data better for customer service and marketing.
And if we need to put a buzzword on top of the story, I think it's you call yourself a customer data platform, right?
Yeah, that's right. So at that time when we started, there wasn't the CDP term wasn't available. So we called it marketing automation, but we always thought that, well, it's not, because the competing marketing automation tools were email platforms. And we did have, and we do have emails capabilities, SMS capabilities, push notifications, but we always thought that this is not really the core. The key thing is the customer data. So, but there wasn't. We thought it's not a CRM. CRM is something. It's a B2B thing, and but then when the CDP term came, then we kind of nailed it. That's it. That we are CDP plus. Of course, there are pure CDP tools in the market, but mainly for the big enterprises which have only CDP customer data capabilities. But we have a kind of hybrid. We're combining CDP and marketing automation in one product.
Yeah, so I think that's very interesting. If you need to compare, let's say, the three categories of CDPs, I think there's an ingest CDP, there could be a modelization, analyzation CDP, and there could be an activation CDP. And what I more or less understand, Custobar is combining the second and the third point, analyzation and activation part, and the very interesting
Yes.
thing, what we would like to discuss is that I think in the common understanding of the CDP is that the current situation is that they are focused on enterprise companies. But we discussed it already, Tatu. I think your market is a totally different approach, right? You're targeting Shopify, Shopware, Magento, and stuff like that, and I don't want to be disrespectful, but they are smaller countries, right? And it could be the music store who would like to grow, or who would like to establish an online shop in combination with the offline market, brick and mortar stuff.
Yeah, but also, at least for me, Germany is well known of these mid-sized companies. So it's not only. I mean, there is another market for micro companies, which really for early phase. I think then Shopify is the natural choice, and there's lots of tools available for Shopify almost for free. So that's for starting companies. That's a good kind of solution. But then, for the little bit more established who might have also offline physical stores, that's our kind of core, is the kind of multi-channel companies. But we do have, of course, also many online only. But yeah, mid-sized companies kind of running, let's say, tens of millions of euros revenue or hundreds of millions of revenue, but still not big enough for those high-end, heavy kind of systems.
So what I would like to discuss this episode is more or less breaking the buzzword down and explaining that CDPs are not only for enterprise companies, right? And medium-sized companies. We could start with a small or to medium-sized company with a different approach of online and offline to use, for example, Custobar as a CDP to push your business. So what I always love, Tatu, is more gaining informations out of use cases, right? I think that's the story.
Right.
You started with a story, so
exactly.
we should start. What is more or less the typical use case why a Shopify user or a Shopware user is using Custobar?
Yeah, I think the first problem that many companies are facing is the gathering the data into one place. So the customer data is scattered in different systems. If they have email tool, there is some data in the email system. If they have e-commerce, there's some data in the e-commerce. Then they might have physical stores. There's might be like a loyalty program and collecting some data in the ERP system, the physical store data. And then there's customer service like Zendesk, Freshdesk, or some other customer service tools. And all of them have some customer data, but it's not unified. So that's the starting point, that, hey, you should start utilizing the data. Okay, you have to first collect it into one place. But that already sounds like a big IT project. And always there's a big IT project. My ex-boss in my previous company said that big IT project is always a big catastrophe. So then how we solve that? Well, we have ready-made plugins, ready-made integrations, and utilizing modern APIs to gather that data from different systems. Like we have, as I mentioned, Freshdesk, Zendesk, customer service systems, Shopify, Shopware, Magento, WooCommerce, e-commerce. Then ERP systems is that's a kind of more usually if you have physical stores, that's the trickiest part but usually there's always some way to, at least with the SFTP, to get those CSV files to.
Because the structure of ERP is a bit individual, right?
Exactly.
Because Shopware is always, or Shopify is always the same standard. It's always, and nowadays in the last years, I think ERP system was always programmed in an individual way. So that's why the situation is you can't have
exactly. There's usually some platforms like Microsoft Navi or some other systems in the background, but then it's customized. And then, but still, transferring CSV files, at least that's the minimum which all systems usually can do. So we have capabilities to get that and match the data with email addresses, phone numbers, or some other IDs, and then kind of create that holy grail, which always people say, the 360-degree view of individual customer. That's the starting point.
Nice.
And that's also the use case then the 360 view of individual customer. For customer service, we have the nice visual view of individual customer. I think that's the starting point. That's the basic bottom line where all the data-driven...
The classic reporting.
Exactly, yeah.
Reduce the manual reporting with the manual stitching, and then having one central place with a central reporting about the customer.
But it's not only reporting, but it's also customer service perspective. Like one story, just recently I was visiting one bookstore, and I was in the queue, and somebody was in front of me in the kind of cashier, and the customer asked that, hey, I have also this online order. Do you know, can you see what is the status of the online order? And the cashier was kind of angry. We don't see those online orders here in the store. and that's one problem that we are solving, that we have the nice visual view where you can see all the transactions, and like also online, offline transactions and other transactions in the visual view.
Yeah, that's the organization silos as well than the data silos, right? You need to ensure that you break both down.
That's right. Yeah, but that's the starting point. Then the other side is, of course, the marketing automation, utilizing the data to create segments, create customer flows, these kind of customer journeys, and then trigger messages. But ideally, of course, when in the right time to the right audience or right customer with the right content. So that's the ideal what we are kind of going towards, and utilizing also personalized recommendations, etc. But there's so many aspects in this, of course, that they. But
develop a story. Shopify shop, Shopware shop. Yeah, I think that's not really important, but it's a small shop. You are currently starting with the online shop. It could be you have a brick and mortar business, and you start selling flowers, for example. Let's start with flowers. Good. And so the situation is that you have a Shopify shop, and the first step is, it could be, I think Shopify has a POS system, so you could already have the combination. But if you don't have it and you have a older system, legacy system for the cash, you need to use it. So you need to think first of, okay, does it make sense to connect online and offline? But I think that the first situation is the easiest way to gather new people for the online shop and for the offline shop. And it's not about switching from offline to online. It's always more, you can order things online on the weekend and stuff like that. And
exactly.
So it's very important to set up together or gain new customers in the online shop. And then you need to think about, okay, what could be the journey for a second sale? What could be the journey for replenishment? For example, last year, someone ordered flowers for Valentine's Day, or for the wedding day annual, something like that. So that could be the case, right? And to be honest, I think the current situation, Shopify is very strong in having a shop system going forward, but you don't have features to develop your customers. Right?
That's exactly so. And we have kind of really lovely visual solution, old invention, RFM model. Maybe many of you know, but it comes from recency, frequency, and monetary modeling. But we made it kind of visual, and we can have some screen pictures here. So in the vertical axis, there's the how many times the customer has made a purchase. So and the traditional RFM model, it starts from one purchase, but actually we have also 0 purchases, because we can get those newsletter subscribers or registered customers who might never have purchased before. So we added one line: 0 purchase, 1 purchase, then 2 to 3, and you can actually modify those numbers there. But then VIP customers are in the top, customers purchasing over 10 times from you. Okay, and the other axle is horizontal axle is the when was the freshness, when was the last time in this example, within last month, 3 months, 6 months, and passive over 1 year. So this is kind of really nicely visual.
Sorry to interrupt you, but it will be very individual per business model, right?
Yeah,
Business
absolutely.
case.
The
Yeah.
scales are different. Yeah,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
the logic is almost always the same.
Yeah. I love
Yeah.
it. I love the model.
So
I
so
love
so
it.
we made it kind of because traditionally the consultants have maybe you have also been kind of calculating it in Excel, and that takes a lot of time and lots of data to kind of crunch it, and you can only get it once updated. But then we have it's kind of live. It's constantly updated based on the data. So, but it's not only analysis, but it's actionable. So you can choose, for example, in my screen picture example, you can choose, let's say, one important segment is passive VIPs who used to purchase a lot but haven't been purchasing anymore for 1 year. And you can see how much money you have been gaining from these customers, how many customers are in this segment, and then you can press the yellow button, kind of create a campaign, create action. So you can target those passive VIPs with an automation, for
Amazing.
example. So that's exactly what you're saying, the flower shop, and how to get the customers returning back. I think the RFM modeling and making it actionable is a great way to approach that. Of course, then you can also drill down to different categories, kind of customers, that customers who bought always roses to the or like different types of customers inside it, but still I really love the RFM model.
Yeah, I love it too, because the situations based on the RFM, you could create CLVs, things, stuff like that, and you can gain a lot of more informations, insights, value out of the RFM model
Yeah,
as foundation.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point, Tatu. I love to get actions out of
Yes,
it, right? Because
that's right.
if you check the maturity of data within an organization, I think it starts with you have more data than insights. After that, you have more insights than
Yes,
actions, and hopefully, you have at the end more actions than anything else.
exactly.
And because then you could improve your
Yeah,
business. So if you have a tool, a CRM tool, where you can more or less see the RFM model, do stuff with it, but you can't activate it because you need to export it,
exactly.
put it into
Another system
yeah,
and
email marketing
exactly.
tool and stuff
Yeah,
like that. Then the other way around, because you need to understand who reacted to the
yeah,
campaign,
yeah.
right? That's a very hard
Yeah,
situation.
but that's exactly what we faced also when we've been giving demos of Custobar. That those companies who have already been advanced with the data, they said, "Yeah, we can do that, but it takes half a day or 1 day to kind of from IT first to make the calculation and export it and then take it to the marketing system." So we may kind of to have all that data and the campaign capabilities in one tool, it kind of saves a lot of time. So that's the simple, and
Yeah.
that was the original idea with Juha when he was in the record store. Is that it wasn't the management coming to ask him reporting. He was building a tool for the salespeople to do more sales. So he was kind of that was his original intention. So that's the our
Yeah.
in our kind of ideology that it's all should be always actionable.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's the right phrase in English than in German. Pareto principle. So
Yeah.
I think 80% of your clients starts with, or customer starts with, a specific use case. So what is the more mostly used, or use case?
Yeah, it is naturally. It's usually emails. I mean, email is it's funny. Well, it's very inexpensive channel, and they have had a kind of basic email tool before taking Custobar into use, and they've kind of used all the capabilities from that previous tool, and then they want to switch to kind of data driven um, uh, marketing, and then they are switching to Custobar, collecting the data, utilizing the data, but then utilizing it first. The first use case is to utilizing it for sending campaigns, but narrowly targeted, personalized, more than what they did before. So I think, and that we have a nice kind of Excel calculation of if you're sending messages to 100,000 customers, let's say, or 10,000 customers, mass campaign, you could get maybe 1.5% conversion. That's already very good if you're just sending mass campaign, 1.5% conversion. But then if you divide it into segments, different segments, and you are sending maybe 5 messages to 10,000 customer segments, so you have only sent 50,000 messages, whereas in the first case you sent 100,000 messages, but like spamming everyone. But now you send 10,000 segment, 5 campaigns with 10,000 segments. You are sending 50,000 messages, so half of the original size of the mass campaign. But you are gaining when you calculate it, you can get like easily, well, not easily, but often you can get like 4% conversion, 5%, and our best, like this record store, they were gaining. What you can imagine that record sales is very much, if you are interested in a certain artist, you love that artist and want to buy the albums. It's in that sense very kind of motivating to see that.
Hardcore fan.
Yeah, exactly. But the conversions were like 30 or even over 40% conversions from the campaign. That was insane, and still insanely high conversions in best cases. But of course, it depends a lot with the business, what type of business and how much repurchase, what is the repurchase cycle, and etc. But yeah, the conversion is much higher, and you are spamming less. That's our mission in the end, like eradicate spam from the world.
Yeah, but it makes sense. As you said, right message, right time, right customer or potential customer. I think that's the most important point. Otherwise, you have the situation that you more or less see it if you purchase something online and you still getting for the next 2 weeks retargeting. It makes no sense, right? So it's more or less the same. If you're not, you're only have a small or a limited frame of what you can put into a email, and if you more or less not doing or putting not the right products into the frame, you have
you miss
high
it.
problem.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you miss it. Yeah.
But then one or maybe 2 other points about the use cases. One amazing thing is online offline conversion. So we kind of many tools, it's easy to show the online conversion, how many of the customers purchase from online store. But now that we get the ERP, the offline from the brick and mortar stores, we get the offline data with when you identify the customers in the store, we can show actually also how much sales came from this campaign from the physical store, because we know who got the campaign, we know who got the campaign, who opened it, and who made the purchase within certain time window, like 1 week or 2 week time window for the conversion calculation. So that's and one of the best feedbacks I got from it was outdoor equipment company, like the sports and outdoor stuff they sell, and he said that our report of online offline conversion of the campaign has been a great tool for him to convince the store managers that online store is not away from you. We are actually, when we are campaigning in the digital channels, we are bringing sales to you. Look at here, your store, you've gained 10,000 euros sales from this campaign. So you have been actually the top selling store, selling even more than the online store. So we can show the comparison of the campaign conversion per store, per channel. So that's something that is really, really kind of fascinating.
You help to ensure that there's a data culture, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And then another interesting point is then also the identifying customers in the physical store. That's a challenge always, but we have this kind of mobile loyalty card kind of add-on feature, which is kind of nice, that you don't need the traditional plastic loyalty card anymore. But on the other hand, if you are like mid-sized company building your own app, like the big companies have their own mobile apps where you can purchase and utilize it also as a identification in the store. But then we have this kind of lightweight way to identify with the QR code or barcode. It's in the mobile, but we send it through SMS, but it's not an app. You don't need to develop your own app, but it just replaces the physical traditional plastic card.
On a time perspective, what do you think from choosing a CDP to more or less getting the first value out of a CDP for small companies? What do you think as a time frame?
Shortest time frames are, one of our customers took the system into use in one weekend. So they built.
Oh, that's crazy.
That they if you have only online store, it's very, because it's a plug and play. Like you just click the Shopify or Shopware integration,
Yeah.
or install the plugin to WooCommerce or Magento, and the data starts flowing. So that's very straightforward. But then that you can do like within 1 week. But then if you have the physical stores, getting the ERP data usually takes a little bit more time. So that typical time frames we're talking about, like from three weeks to 6 weeks, something like that, depending on how, because we always need the IT people of the ERP vendor who kind of starts sending the data to our platform. So then
Yeah.
one month, 2 months is if you have multi-channel kind of brick and mortars as well.
Yeah. So the typical use case is starting gathering the data, reducing data silos, starting RFM model, then starting with
Emails usually.
with email newsletter,
Yeah.
right? Is there anything else? Do you start something like personalization based on attributes within the newsletter,
Yes.
or in the online part in the website as well?
Yeah. Yes, definitely. So product personalized recommendation, that's kind of important element of the use cases of in most cases, and that what is nice there is that some tools start gathering the data from the front end, from the browser, and it takes time to gather data from the browser, customers' browsers, in order to kind of have valid recommendations. But since we take the purchase data from the back end of the online store and possibly also the physical stores, we always gather the historical data as well, 2 years or even 5 years historical data. So in one night we calculate kind of quite high quality recommendations, because we have the historical data from the day one, and because our plugins are coded so that they always include the historical data as well. So you can start targeting then with personalized messages quite soon. But yeah, you can utilize them also in the online store if you like, as recommendation. And then kind of quite new perspective, last 2 years we've been developing that now that there's lots of hype about the restrictions of third-party cookies. So then you can also target with your CDP data. You can target, create segments and kind of send them to Facebook and Google Ads.
So you already have this connection?
Yes. So Facebook custom audiences, also Facebook conversions API, and then Google Ads customer match.
So based on the email address, or?
Yeah, it's based on email address and phone numbers. It's actually hashing. So we are not sending them as pure, but they are hashed first, so that they are converted into kind of unidentifiable addresses.
Yeah.
But then they are matching it on the other side, and seeing if there's a match. If there's a match, then you can target. For example, as you mentioned, retargeting. So that takes your retargeting to next level, since you know also from the physical store who made the purchase, and from the online store, of course, even without cookies. So you can do more highly targeted advertisement in those channels.
So I think now we discuss more or less the normal way of how to do it. So Tatu, what are more or less the pitfalls, the top 3 pitfalls for data? I think one reason could be more or less you don't have the consent to use the data, right?
Yes, that's a challenge. Oh, yeah, you have to ask for consent. But one nice solution that we have found for that is that our SMS messages can be two-way. So you can actually, if you didn't ask in the beginning, and that's a challenge always, of course, because you should ask for email permission, you should ask for SMS permission. If you have push notifications, maybe that permission separately, and possibly other. So there's many different aspects and consents you should ask specifically, because nowadays it's not enough anymore that, let's give me all the marketing and that's fine. You have to ask it per channel. So then, but nice thing is that you can utilize the two-way SMS, so that you can send and ask for permission with SMS, and please reply yes if you would like to receive our like top discount. I hate discounts in general, but I mean top selling or top new arrivals. Yeah, exactly. Top recommendations as via SMS or via like even some. It's a bit unclear if you need to ask for separate permission also for Facebook custom audience.
Depends on the country.
Yeah,
right?
that's right. Yeah, at the moment at least, yet since there's not the European wide regulation on that. But yeah, so you can utilize SMS to ask for permission quite easily. So yeah, but yeah, that's definitely one big topic, and of course the data security. Well, that's kind of starting point always, especially here in Europe. All the data has to be stored in Europe, and then the security level has to be kind of very high in from all different aspects. So that's what we are spending a lot of time. But that's luckily not something that our customers have to think about so much. So we kind of take care of the data security and the API security of the APIs, etc.
Yeah. So again, any more pitfalls? For example, prepare your data. Don't ensure that you don't lose data or delete data. Don't delete your inactive customers, right?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah. Well,
anything else?
Well, maybe this is a kind of classical thing that many people have heard already, but I think the word marketing automation leads to totally wrong connotation that you can automate marketing, you don't need to do anything anymore. But that's definitely not the case. So you have to do a lot. You have to try, test different content, but then you can also gain a lot. So utilizing the data, testing different types of messages, different types of timings, etc. So you can gain a lot, but it does require a lot of work as well. So it's not automated in that sense. Of course, it's automated, but not that you wouldn't need to do anything about it. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know what other pitfalls. Yeah, the data quality is of course a challenge. Like in all the touch points where you gather data, you should also have the qualification of the data. So before you are sending it in, so like there's the old saying that garbage in, garbage out. So if you are gathering bad quality data, you are not getting good quality marketing out of it in any way. So
I think that's the most important point, right? Start at the beginning to think about how you would like to grow. And I think that if you start with a business, if you start with an additional business online or something like that, you need to already start thinking about how I would like to gather the main data and how I would like to use this data to get value out of it, right?
Exactly. That's the key. And that's I think wonderful that even smaller companies, I mean, because at some point in the market it seemed to be that it's only Amazon and Zalando, those big companies are kind of crushing all the other companies because they have all the technical power, and Amazon famous recommendation engine by Amazon. But luckily that didn't materialize. They didn't win over the complete, or they the complete dominance of the market. There is still a lot of room for mid-size and small companies to be successful, and that's our mission, is to help those companies to utilize their data and utilize them at least as well as the big companies do.
Yeah. So more or less 35 minutes are done, right? So if you don't have any open topics, Tatu, I would like to state my more or less normal questions to my guests, right?
So. I'm eager to hear them and answer.
Prepare for fight. Yes. So the first question is, what is Tatu doing with data in the private world, right?
Yeah, private life.
Yeah. And the second one is, if you need to describe your data business game on a daily basis, what could be a typical movie title?
Wow. Well, if I think about my personal life, recently I had quite ambitious project to rebuild a small cottage that has been originally kind of first time that I found a year from the logs. It's a log house, small, very small log house, and I found a year 17,084. So it's like it's really really old, like I don't know, is it 250 years or something like that, and my mother was not born in that building, but spent her first years in that building. But the building was kind of unused for over 60 years. And now I'm moving it to another location and rebuilding it. And it's almost finished. But my data point here is to calculate the costs. And it's been kind of surprised how costly. It's very small cottage, only like one room, and there's a kind of traditional Finnish sauna. And then
nice.
So but I thought that it can't be that expensive, but it's pretty expensive to kind of rebuild it. I have a really nice carpenter to do it, but yeah, it's a costly thing. But yeah, that's my personal data point at the moment. And then the movie title, that's it. Well, first thing what came to my mind is one of our kind of brand sentences. Data, true love at first bite. So like, we have many different versions of it, but it's
Okay, got it. Yeah, I think that I already got amazing things like Moneyball or something like that. So they are good ideas.
Yeah, but it's really a lot of fun. We are really enthusiastic about these topics, and we love kind of help companies, retailers mainly, but we also have some restaurant chains and other kind of type of industries, but mainly retailers, kind of to utilize the data and get more out of the business and more value from their data. So yeah, it's really fascinating.
Tatu, thanks for the episode.
Thank you so much. Thanks for asking me. Thank you.